Once upon a time, there was an empty universe where nothing existed, until a sleeping giant awoke. He had the power to create a world, but no one knows what he had to sacrifice to do so. This is the story of Pangu, the creator of the world in Chinese mythology. And believe me, you won't want to miss the ending. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to Waves of Legend for more epic stories like this. In the beginning, there was nothing, just a dark, formless void where chaos reigned. It was a place without light, without sound, without life. At the center of this nothingness, there was a giant egg, pulsing with a soft light. Inside it, Pangu slept, the first being, destined to bring order to chaos. He didn't know how he had gotten there, but he felt he had a mission. And when he awoke, everything would change. Pangu took a deep breath, feeling the air of chaos for the first time. It was heavy, dense, as if carrying the weight of all that did not yet exist. He looked around, trying to understand what he saw. There were no shapes, no defined colors, just a dark, glowing mist that moved slowly, as if alive. He raised his hands, enormous and powerful, and stretched them in front of his face. He felt an energy pulsing within him. Something told him he wasn't there by chance. Something told him he had a purpose. He needed to bring order. He needed to separate what was mixed, the sky and the earth, light and darkness, heat and cold. Everything needed its place. Pangu did not hesitate. He raised his hands above his head, as if holding something invisible. With a slow but firm movement, he began to push. And then, something incredible happened. The chaos began to move. The dark, glowing mist separated, as if obeying Pangu. The lighter, brighter, and hotter part began to rise, forming the sky. The heavier, darker, and colder part began to descend, forming the earth. Pangu felt a wave of satisfaction, but he knew his work was far from over. Pangu didn't know how long he had been there. Time didn't exist in the chaos, but he felt the weight of the years in his bones. His body, already gigantic, was now immense. His hands, which once touched the sky, now held it up with a force that seemed inexhaustible. His feet, which once stepped on the earth, now kept it firm and stable. He grew every day, and the sky and earth moved further apart. But the more he grew, the more he felt the loneliness. The void around him was immense, and he had no one to share his mission with. No one to tell him if he was doing the right thing. Why am I alone? Pangu thought, looking at the sky he himself was creating. His voice echoed in the void, but there was no answer. Only silence, which seemed to grow heavier. He kept pushing. With all the strength he had, his muscles burned, but he didn't stop. The sky rose higher and higher, and the earth sank lower and lower. Pangu grew along with them, as if his body were adapting to the task. He became bigger, stronger, more imposing, but as time passed, he began to feel something strange. A doubt. Was he doing the right thing? What would happen when he finally let go of the sky? What was the universe hiding beyond that endless void? Pangu felt something change. The sky, once heavy and close, now seemed light and distant. The earth, once unstable and shifting, was now firm and solid. He looked up at the sky he had created, and down at the earth he held steady. And then he realized his mission was complete. But at the same time, he felt a deep pain. His body, which had grown so much, was now weak. His muscles, which had held up the sky and earth for so long, were now exhausted. He knew he couldn't go on much longer. It's time, Pangu thought, looking at the sky one last time. His voice echoed in the void, but there was no answer, only silence which seemed to grow heavier. He took a deep breath, feeling the air of the universe for the last time. It was light fresh, as if carrying the weight of all he had created. He looked at the sky, at the earth, and then, with one last sigh, he fell. His giant body hit the ground with an impact that echoed throughout the universe. And then, something incredible happened. Pangu's body began to transform. His eyes became the sun and the moon, illuminating the sky day and night. His breath turned into the wind, which blew gently over the earth, and the clouds which floated in the sky. His voice echoed like thunder. Filling the air with his power, his limbs formed the mountains and valleys, shaping the earth. His blood flowed as rivers and seas, nourishing the soil. His hair spread as forests and fields, covering the land with life. His bones turned into minerals and precious stones. Hidden deep within the earth, from his body, life began to sprout. Plants grew, animals emerged, and the world filled with colors and sounds. Pangu had given everything to create a home for all living beings, but his death was not the end. It was only the beginning. When Pangu's body transformed, the world gained shape and movement. The sun, which was his eyes, shone in the sky, warming the earth with its golden light. The moon, his other half, lit the nights with a soft, silvery glow, creating a perfect balance between day and night. The wind, which was his breath, blew gently over the land, carrying seeds and spreading life to every corner. The rivers, which were his blood, flowed through mountains and valleys, bringing pure fresh water to all places. The forests, which were his hair, grew green and lush, filled with tall trees and dense foliage. The fields, which were his skin, stretched for miles, covered in soft grass and colorful flowers. And then something magical happened. Life began to bloom. The first plants emerged, small and delicate, but full of vitality. They grew quickly, covering the land with a green, vibrant carpet. Soon after, the first animals appeared. Small insects, birds, fish in the rivers and seas, and larger animals like deer and tigers began to roam the earth. The world, once silent and empty, was now full of sounds. The singing of birds, the rustling of leaves in the wind, the sound of water flowing in the rivers. Everything seemed to be in harmony, as if the universe had finally found its balance. But amidst all this life, there was a strange feeling. Something seemed to be missing. Something Pangu had left behind. What is this? The animals asked each other, looking around curiously. What's missing? And then they realized. It was Pangu's presence. He was no longer there, but his essence was in everything. In the sun that warmed them, in the wind that refreshed them, in the earth that sustained them. He had become part of the world, and the world had become part of him. But deep down, they all felt that something was still to come. Something Pangu had left behind. Something yet to be discovered. The story of Pangu reminds us that every creation requires sacrifice, and that life is a precious gift. He teaches us that, even in the greatest difficulties, we can find a purpose and leave a legacy that will endure forever. Pangu gave everything to create the world, but his story doesn't end here. It lives on in every ray of sunlight, in every breath of wind, in every leaf that sways in the breeze. Did you enjoy this epic journey through the creation of the world? Don't forget to subscribe to Waves of Legend for more incredible stories like this. Leave a like, share with your friends, and hit the bell to never miss a video. And if you love myths and legends, comment below. What story would you like to see next? Until the next legend.